Earlier today, I was watching an interview with MrBeast, and it was very interesting. I'm not a fan of MrBeast, or at least not anymore, but it's very interesting how his brain operates. So I tend to watch. It's like you don't like someone, but you can't help but keep up to date with them, in a weird way. Um, I don't know. I used to like his content pretty well. It felt like he was. It was when he was becoming the big thing on YouTube, and now he's been the big thing for a while. And being an independent creator for so long, you want to root for the guy, but I don't want to root for him anymore. You know, um, because he's not an independent creator anymore. He's a full-on business at this point. So, you know, I don't know. It's the thing that he says in interviews is the thing that gets me about this. Is he says that he does what he does because he wants to make the best videos possible. He wants to make the best videos ever that he can possibly make. And I kind of want to argue that he doesn't want to make the best video. He doesn't make the best videos. Just because there's something with high production value does not make it a good video. And I don't think he knows the difference. He's learned stuff ever since he started. Like, he's began to implement more story elements, but what he does is nothing more than reality TV. It is literally no better than what reality TV can do. And we also happen to call that trash TV. I don't know. You can talk about all the other shit and controversies that he's gotten himself into. I don't really care about any of that. That's all been talked to death. I find it interesting because he's just not a YouTuber anymore. He's a content creator. I think there's kind of a clear distinction between a YouTuber and a content creator, and I think people can argue. And I'd like to know what your guys' definition of a quote unquote YouTuber is. But to me, a YouTuber is a real person who is making stuff because they care about what they create and they just want to share it to the world. They don't care about the monetary value. They don't have much other incentive to create. They just create because they can. They want to create. And that's it. That's all there has to be. With MrBeast, he throws people in a room, records them, and then puts his voice over it. I mean, like, he used to make other stuff that you could tell he was clearly passionate about, I think. And now it's gotten to a point where the videos barely feature him. They say his name, and like even look at his TV series. The focus isn't MrBeast anymore; it's the contestants, which I think tells you a lot about where MrBeast as a company and a production studio is headed. And I do mean that in the most literal way. He's not a YouTuber anymore. He's a company. He's not even. He has a CEO. He doesn't even own his company anymore. I don't know. And I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just, I think it's why I don't like him anymore. He used to represent something that we all want on this platform, and now he's become what we don't want. He's becoming the corporatization of YouTube. He's become so algorithmically aligned that he's not thinking about what he wants to create. He's thinking about what's going to make the quote unquote best video, and what that means in his mind is what's going to get the most views, what's going to get the most clicks and retention and all that shit. That's not a good video. That's slop. A definition that we've been strongly nailing in over the last 2 to 3 years now, especially thanks to AI. And I guess that's another reason I don't like him is he did this he did this AI thumbnail thing where he tried to sell a function on one of his websites or something. He has he has his own version of Social Blade. Pardon me. But God damn it, my ADHD. What was I just talking about? Shoot. Oh yeah, the AI thumbnail bullshit. Obviously, he made that shit for a reason. He has since taken it down, of course, because of the large amount of backlash that he got from it. But just the fact that he made it gave me such a bad vibe. And I think kind of the same for everyone else too. And I don't root for him anymore. He's kind of like everything that I hate about YouTube now. It's really sad, you know, when you have someone who you used to root for because they represented what they represented what you thought they represented, and then when they get big enough, you realize, oh, they didn't actually care about any of that. They only want to represent their company. I don't know. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but it's weird. It's strange, disappointing, but I don't know. That does beg the question: what makes a good video, if not a large amount of money? What actually does make a good video? And I feel like that's actually a pretty simple answer. If you enter a theater to go watch the new biggest hit film sequel, right? Like, say, I just watched Mission Impossible, the latest Mission Impossible with my dad, supposedly the last one, but we'll see. I just watched it with my dad over the last couple weekends because it's a long movie, so we split it up into two runs. And I found relative enjoyment out of the first few, and then the longer that it went, the more it felt like they weren't telling us anything new. They weren't giving us more of a story. They were just giving us the same thing, you know? And, I didn't even go to a theater, but hypothetically, if I went to a theater to go see that, I would have come out of it being very disappointed in that experience. Not that it was a bad movie, but it didn't add anything of value to not just the series, but to myself. I didn't find myself walking out of that theater being like, wow, what a great movie. I found myself being like, that was a movie. I guess that's one way to wrap everything up and end it all. I didn't feel impacted by anything that any of the characters did, anything that they said. And, part of it is because it was very predictable. Obviously, the heroes were all going to win in the end. They tried to make the stakes of the movie as tight as possible. Like, will they win the thing? Will they get rid of this? I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I mean, obviously they win in the end. So it wasn't really surprising. It wasn't like a, yes, they won, victory. It was more like, yep. I mean, I couldn't have exactly predicted how they were going to win, but they did win. I'll give them that. And I think that might be the problem. But like, if you go into a movie theater to see, say, God, what's a movie that I want to list off one of my favorite movies, but I have to make sure that it's like one that actually had an impact on me. Truman, The Truman Show. That is by far one of my favorite movies of all time. I watch it at least once or twice a year. Fantastic film, fantastic product. And it had something to say. And I feel like it kept the story so vague that you could take several different lessons from it, depending on how you look at it. With like something like Mission Impossible, it's just eye candy. It's an action movie. Yeah, there's not much else to it. And with Truman, I watched that thing when I was really little, and that thing left such a strong impression on me. It made me want to start thinking about how others perceive me, and I don't know. Being popular isn't the whole world. It isn't everything. Having your own self-identity and being able to make your own choices is very important. I don't know. I feel like that's probably the most basic message that you can take from the movie. Yeah, all fences. But that I like that. Just for example, two very different experiences with an action movie. Most of the time, you're not really going to find a whole lot of it's just eye candy, and that's totally fine. But it's not necessarily good. It doesn't leave you with value. You could make an argument that they do inspire people to go and make their own thing because they thought the movie and the product or whatever was just so cool. But that's not that's not going to resonate with 99% of the audience. That's going to impact maybe 1% of the audience. And you could say the exact same thing about MrBeast. Sure, technically what he's doing is cool, and you really only get inspired by it if you want to do exactly what he does. And I feel like most people are inspired by MrBeast because they love the idea of getting a bunch of money from him. It's not, there's nothing of value in his videos. I think he tries to put value in the videos, but he has to rely on the people, the humans in the videos who he calls characters, which sounds so dystopian to me. But he tries to squeeze stories out of them, so that way he can artificially add value to the video, in which he only concepted because he thought it would look good as a thumbnail and title on YouTube. That doesn't make a good video. That makes good content. It makes good slop. That's not a good video. I don't get value out of it. You know, I watched the I still ironically find myself watching his like most of his videos. I saw the one where he put this girl in a room with her ex, and then he pretty much tried to force them back together. And I feel like there's so much extra stuff that you don't see on camera that happens behind the scenes, because surely they didn't just happen to get back together at the end of the video. You know, naturally, I'm sure there was a lot of stuff influencing their decisions, and may I argue, maybe that's not for the best between those two. I mean, I don't know those two better than they do, of course. They can make their own decisions, but it's just he's trying to squeeze them like lemons. He's got a content tree, and then he takes the thumbnail out of the content tree, and then tries to squeeze as much story out of it as possible. But it just doesn't work. It's not real. Well, it is real. It doesn't impact you, though. You just kind of realize the video's over and then go, oh, all right, what should I watch next? Like, you don't come out of that experience being like, wow, that changed my life. That's not a... He doesn't make a good video. He doesn't make good videos. He makes high production videos. That doesn't make it a good video, right? I don't know. Feel free to argue with me in the comments. I just find it disappointing. You know, you root for a guy, and then eventually it just turns out he's no better than everyone else in the industry. I mean, take a look at modern professional like, there's a reason indie animation is taking over the industry now. Indie content in general. I'm pretty sure Everything Everywhere All at Once, it was a movie that released a few years ago now. That was created entirely independently by just a few people, the entire movie. Or at least the effects. You know, obviously they hired good actors for it and all that, but like it is an indie film, and it is very highly praised. I watched it myself, and while a lot of the details are very muddy, I know it had something of value to say. It was a great movie overall. It added value to your life as a viewer. So, why am I talking about this? Well, I've been thinking about, you know, what I do online as a creator. You know, I've become, over the years, a storyteller. Maybe not a good storyteller, not yet at least, but I am trying to become a good storyteller. And I'm implementing my own story into the RPS collab. I have a cartoon show that I've been trying to work on with my friends and get it off the ground for a while now. But you know, it's been a big learning curve. I want people to really like it, so I want to make sure that it's done right if I can help it. And learning how to script write has been very difficult. Writing has been a big focus of my creative life over the last couple years now, especially since I started working on Gravity. Gravity was the first huge learning curve when it came to story writing, and while it is paused and shelved right now until I can get proper funding, I guarantee you when we resume funding, I'm going to go back and rewrite almost the whole story, because even as it sits right now, I don't know if I'm 100% happy with where it's at. And that's okay. You know, there will come to a point where I'm relatively happy with where it's at. And I won't pick it apart anymore. But that day is not yet here. Actually, I have sticks in here. I do have some sticks. I'll use these first. Okay, you all can go back in here. Yeah. But yeah, I've realized collabs used to be very simple, right? It used to just be, hey, let's all just make an animation in the same file. All right, we did it. Now let's just upload it for like this small community. And now it's kind of spiraled into something completely different on a completely different level. Take a beach day, for example. Like that is a proper story, but it is a collab that I think has value. It leaves you wanting to watch it again to see what else you can take from it. Again, I think it's one of the only collabs out there in modern community history that makes you not want to skip the obligatory intro and outro. They have value that you inherently want to watch because you're engaged and you're interested. But I mean, should they be? Should these silly little collabs have like always have to have a good deep message into it? I think it depends on the creator. I think there's been okay, to pull one example recently. DJ Deke released the Mirror collab. And as a collab, it's fine. You know, I'd say it's nothing to write home about. I mean, it's got some good entry. It achieves what a collab should, and it has some entertaining value. And he tried to implement a story into it in order to add more value to it, which I respect, of course, but kind of fell backwards. And it just, the whole story felt forced, and it became one of those collabs where you skip that part. You skip that whole part of the collab. You don't really care about the intro and the outro. You go to that collab to see what people had to animate. You came to see the cool things that people were able to do with the prompt that they had. You're not going to go to the collab to see the intro and outro because the message was just so shoehorned in. It feels so artificial. Now, of course, you know that may just be a story writing thing. I mean, hey, I'm learning to write stories myself, but you know, Shab also had a much. I mean, he's had an education. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, sure, it worked out. But Shab has had an education in film, and he's able. I mean, okay. In this cartoon series that we've been writing in the background and trying to get off the ground in the background, I decided to rewrite it recently because I wasn't happy with where the original story landed. And so, you know, I'm just going to go like mining so I can just talk mindlessly. Pardon me. Away the dirt. Yeah, I've been trying to write. Okay, it's called Desynced. And I don't know, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but the show is called Desynced, so I'm just going to address it as that. But Desynced is a show that me and my friends have been trying to get off the ground for a while now, and I decided to rewrite it because I wasn't happy with where we landed last. And, you know, at the current version that we're at, I'm much more happy with it. And then I shared it to my friend group. We have a little group chat on Discord where we just talk about whatever the fuck. And I dropped it there, and I was like, hey guys, what do you think of this? I rewrote it, and I think I'm much happier with where it's at. And then Shab was like, how attached are you to this version of the script? And I was like, I mean, I want people to really enjoy it, so if you think there's ways that I can improve, I would like to know what I can improve at. He then didn't respond for most of the day until, like, I want to say close to midnight my time. He sent a PDF file, which ended up being a 5-page essay breaking down the story and critiquing it and telling me what I could do better. And that's happened before to me. I'm not going to get into that instance because that one was a little messier, but that, I don't know. Like, this dude has a clear vision, like not a vision. He has a clear understanding of what makes a good story. He explained it very well in that little essay he made, which is just so ridiculous. I don't know, anyone making it. I mean, clearly they care. The people who make essays of critiquing your project clearly shows that they care about your work. Anyway, yada yada yada. No, but in the comparison, I know art shouldn't be comparative, but in some cases it is. It is appropriate to compare what you could do better based on what someone else has done. It's not a 24/7 thing that you should do, but I think, comparison in art has its value, just not all the time. Like the ranks, for example, that's not a good example of comparison. Pardon me. But if it doesn't make sense to have a story in your collab, then you shouldn't have a story in your collab. I've written a story into RPS about gambling. It's a cautionary tale. And at first, RPS was meant to just be a simple collab without much of a story. And then, eventually I had an idea to... I gotta actually do shit. I'm just sitting here talking. Eventually I had the idea to add this really complex story into it and start what is essentially the collab universe. And I really want to finish the story. It is, I feel like it's such an impactful story. It holds so much meaning. And it doesn't feel like it was shoehorned in. It feels like it belongs there. Because, RPS is all about luck, and gambling is all about luck. So there is at least one degree of relation there. And I'm sure it's not going to be the best story, but with where it's at right now, I'm pretty happy with it. And from what I've heard from people seeing the progress on it on live streams and friends and the team working on it as well, I think I did a pretty good job. I think I'll look back on it after like a few months of it being released, and I'll be like, I should have written that differently, or I could have done that better. Dang it. Or like, that shot could have had a much better composition to better portray them. Yada 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 yada. You get the idea. But I'm not. Fuck. I'm not gonna let that bog down the progress. I'm not gonna halt production on it just so I can rewrite it. Unlike Gravity. I mean, that's not the reason why it's halted, obviously, but okay. I'm gonna pick a direction and I'm gonna go this way until I find a cave opening, and then I'm gonna explore it. Yeah. Man, I think people shouldn't be trying to intentionally force stories into their collabs or into their projects. If especially if you're just doing it for fun, that's totally fine. I think to some degree we've raised, okay, not even to some degree, I think to a major degree, the bar of quality on collabs in this community has raised exponentially over the last few years. I couldn't exactly pinpoint when that started, but I mean, there was a point where it was just people making collabs for fun, and then it got to a point where the dojo in the community was getting a lot more attention, and so more participants began to join these projects, and the hosts began to feel like there was more responsibility to make sure that it was a good collab. And now it's to a point where they're kind of snowballing into like their own short films and movies, which I feel comfortable saying because it's essentially what RPS is going to become. It's going to be its own 50-minute film. I hesitate to call it a short film because that's not short. But it's like we're injecting like a 10 to 11 minute short film into a collab. So I don't know. It's very strange, and I've even considered it recently. I've openly discussed it too. The idea of submitting my work, my collabs to festivals, like that. Like collabs shouldn't do that, But like I love that they can, but I worry that this may scare people away from doing it because it's not as simple and pure-hearted as it used to be. Though, and again, maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but I think there might be some people who think they have to achieve the same level of quality as another collab host, like me or Shab or Loonsar. and I'm gonna tell y'all a story about when I first joined the community, or maybe a little bit after, maybe like a couple years in. I was inspired heavily by Shuriken, and I know that his name is a hot topic right now, and just to be clear, I do not intend on discussing it. I do work professionally with him, so I cannot, I cannot speak on the subject. Just keep that in mind, I guess. But back in the day, coming back to the actual story, I was heavily inspired by Shuriken. I joined the community because of his imitator collab, and I wanted to make my own synced collabs. For a long time, I was using his sound lines, and then when I ran out of sound lines that he made, I started making my own sound lines, and then I wanted to start making my own collabs. Inspired by his style of collaboration. And Shuriken, despite hating the process of animating, he really had a keen attention to detail and quality. And it steadily grew over time as well. They're often praised to be some of the best collabs in the community. And maybe that's me speaking with bias. I still feel confident in saying that because back in the day, people were pointing out how I was like a discount Shuriken. When I published all of my collabs, because I was pretty much trying to do what Shuriken was doing. I just wanted to do them myself because they seemed like they were a lot of fun. And they were pretty fun. The only not fun part was constantly being compared to Shuriken, being called Shuriken 2.0. That was a solid nickname that I had for a long time. And even Shuriken himself, back when he used to live stream semi-consistently, I entered chat and I asked him what he thought of my collabs, and he flat out told me like, yeah, I don't think they're good. I think you work on them too fast. I think you need to focus more on the quality and attention to detail. And that destroyed me at the time. And then I made 360 collab, which is probably the turning point for my personal expectations of quality from my collabs. And looking back, I don't know if that was necessarily a good thing. I think collabs just being collabs are fine. I also think he was valid in his opinion at the time. Obviously I was letting the attention get to my head. People were wanting to participate in my collabs because they were successful. People were watching them because they are addicting to watch. And I wanted to keep making videos that were successful and that people enjoyed. Though it got to a point where I wasn't really enjoying them that much anymore, I just kind of figured out a formula. And then stuck with the formula until I realized I got tired of it and didn't want to do it anymore. Oh, and then I was stuck in such a position where I couldn't get out of doing synced collab. I had tried a handful of times to host a non-synced collab, and every time it would just flop because it wasn't synced. People wouldn't care. They were in the community likely because they wanted to be featured on successful collabs. People hadn't seen a successful non-synced collab from me, and they didn't trust me to. I don't blame anyone for not trusting me to host a non-synced collab successfully because I hadn't shown that I was able to do so. I had shown that I was able to make the same product over and over again, but that's it. I didn't know how to make an actual collab at the time. I definitely didn't looking back at it now. I knew how to make one kind of thing, and then I used that template, and I kept doing it over and over again. And then, yeah, so the problem that I found myself in is I wanted to host a non-synced collab. I wanted to get out of it because I was getting a little sick of it myself. Despite not wanting to admit it at the time, I was. But I knew that people wouldn't trust me because I hadn't hosted anything outside of a synced collab before in the exact style that I used to do it in. So I had this idea to host a VR collab, and I was going to do it in 3 stages. I was going to host the first, stage 1 of my 3-part plan was to host a synced VR collab so that I could show the proof of concept. I can show people that I'm caring more about quality and that they can trust me more about the collabs that I can make, that I can release. And, I did that successfully. And then my next step, stage 2 of the 3-step plan, believe it or not, was to host Meme Dream. Meme Dream 2 specifically was a very calculated decision as a collab. And that was, I believe, my first non-synced collab. Or at least stick figure fight based collab. I don't know if I released YouTube my YouTube Rewind around that time, but that in my head was my first non-synced collab. Pardon me. And that, despite it being not really a good collab, it opened people's eyes to the idea that I can host more than just synced collabs. This guy can just host collabs. Okay, that's cool. We'll see where this goes. And then I think I started hosting more collabs similar to Stuntman and YouTube Rewind. And I think, the YouTube Rewind was fine. I don't remember if Stuntman came first or YouTube Rewind did. But I know once I did the first Stuntman, that was the camel... That was the straw. That was the camel that broke the straw's back. No, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I don't remember if it was the first Stuntman or the second Stuntman, but I remember there being a significant shift in the number and types of people that would participate in my collabs. It used to be such a very specific group of an audience that would participate in my collabs before, because I made the same kind of thing over and over again, so I had garnered that kind of audience and nothing much more. Now I've created something that had a much wider grasp. It could appeal to many more people, to an infinitely higher number of people than before. That was the big difference. And Stuntman is the series that ended up making my whole new friend group. I've been very close with all of them. It's where I met Loonsar. It's where I first met Gamer. I think Taro around that time, though he was already in the dojo community. I'm trying to think of more people. I mean, there's Stom, but I knew Stom way before then, so he doesn't count. I don't know. I'm gonna try and reclasp my thoughts. I was talking about collabs and how the expectation of quality, our bar has raised dramatically. And I was trying to relate it to Shuriken and how I was just kind of forced into making higher quality projects. Of course, I feel like I was going to do that anyway, but in the way that it happened with the community expressing it, I was widely hated back in the day. Shocking nowadays, I know, but God, that was gross to say. Sorry, I don't even like praise when it's coming from myself, let alone other people. But as absurd as it is to hear, it was very common to not like me. I was either someone who you were okay with, who you really liked, or what seemed to be more common in my eyes, someone that you really hated. There were people who were blaming me for the death of the community, the slow decline of the community, and the lack of quality in dojo uploads. I was often the one people pointed fingers at. And to some degree, I agree. I think we discussed it more on the first episode with Hyun in this series. Oh, good lord, it's a baby zombie. Yeah, just come here so I can kill you. I forgot how much... This is a killer. Sorry, it's been a while since I've played this map. Hi, by the way. I know it's been a little bit. Uploads are a little inconsistent at the moment. I've been very busy, as I'm sure you all can tell. If uploads get scarce every now and then, keep in mind it's not because I don't care anymore. It's because I don't have time. Right now, I just have a little bit of free time that I can exercise. So, what is this? The village? It's a village. Has this village already been looted? I'd be shocked. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think the expectation, the bar quality has gone too high for collabs? Or do you think it'll ultimately be a good thing? I think it's totally fine. I think, if anything, I want there to be more collabs that don't have much... they're not like the best collabs ever, but they're still fun collabs to watch. There's a lot of innate value in like the Swordsman collab that OP34 hosted so long ago. The reason it was so successful is because it was a fun collab. It was a really good collab. Pardon me. Having trouble breathing right now, so my apologies. But yeah, it was a really fun collab. It didn't have much inherent value in it other than its pure entertainment value, and it inspired a specific group of animators to join the community and continue animating. So there is absolutely value in stuff that doesn't have a story. You know, then there's a layer lower than that. That's when you get to MrBeast and all the slop creators. Pardon me. I don't know. I think there's still a space for simple and basic and fun collabs, but I think now there's an audience for collabs with deeper meanings. I'm now having to start thinking more about the general audience and how they will portray and perceive my projects. So, and I think to some degree that's been really fun. It's been a fun challenge for me. You know, I've worried that I was going back into kind of finding a recipe for collab hosting and compiling, and then just doing that over and over again until I get bored of it. But adding a story into it with meaning and intent has really kind of fixed that, and I think that's something I can infinitely grow off of. So, I said I was going to go mining. Here I am just slaughtering everything. That's what I'm doing. Sorry, I've been, my friend's Thom started a Minecraft realm recently, and I've been playing a lot of that, more than I should. Oh, fuck you. Goodbye. Wow, I've never picked up a yellow flower before. That's crazy. Hi. Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to yap about in relation to collabs and MrBeast, but I don't know, I thought it was a fun way to start that kind of conversation. I'm gonna bring some wood with me before I go into this mine. He's gonna give myself a moment to breathe. Pardon me. What the fuck? I got twins. Twinsies. Oh, it's so easy. I say as I let myself get hit. Not as easy as I once thought. Let's get rid of this guy so it doesn't bother me. Like, oh, I could just let him blow up. Yeah, that works. Fuck it. Oh, don't tell me this doesn't go farther down than this. Damn it. Oh well. I guess I can give a little life update. We're like 2 weeks into the new year now. Already quite a bit has happened. First big news for me personally, my roommate, who is my ex, she's moving out pretty soon. And this is going to be my first time living alone. I was considering finding another roommate. And I was trying to get one or two of my friends to move down here and, you know, pay rent and live with me. But it never ended up working out. It was too soon for them, and I didn't want to push them. So, you know, if it's not, if you know, I don't want to make them uncomfortable and force them to move somewhere where they didn't want to go. So, you know, it's totally fine. And then I ran into the issue where, oh shit, I don't really talk to anyone else in Colorado anymore, which is, you know, the state where I live. I don't really have any more friends IRL, especially ones that could potentially move in with me. Everyone from my school and my old friend group has either moved away or we've kind of just drifted apart over the years. And it would be weird asking them because I don't really know them anymore. And I've realized I don't really vibe with them as much as I thought I did. I only hung out with them because I was in school with them. And then when school was out, I found it harder and harder to make excuses to hang out with them. And I think they would probably say the same. Anyway, I reached out to like a couple people in the community who live around the area, and they were both like, nah. And then I was like, okay, fuck, what am I gonna do? And I talked to my mom about it, and we were going to start looking for potential roommates for me and how to do that in the modern day. My sister was like, "Oh, when I did it, I just opened like listings on Craigslist," and I was like, "I don't think that's a good idea." I didn't say that to her, but I was like, "Okay, I don't think I'm gonna do that because that sounds awful." And unfortunately, at the point that at the current modern day, the internet is not a safe place to find roommates with. There's always people out to get you, and there's more fear in the world more than ever. I have more faith in people in the world in the modern day than I think most people do. But even then, I wouldn't willingly invite a stranger to live in my home who I've never met before, and they have access to everything that I own. I don't trust that. I think that's reasonable not to. Yeah, so I eventually came to my senses. My mom and I were going to get together and look at options for like services out there that would allow me to find a roommate. And then I eventually was just, after thinking about it for a while, I just called her and I was like, you know what? I know I'm not going to be saving as much money, and money's going to get a little tight. But I'm not comfortable with having a roommate, inviting a stranger into my home, someone I've never met. And I don't want to have to do a whole interview process because you can only understand so much from people who you just met. And again, I'm autistic, so I have a hard time reading people sometimes, which is not good when you're trying to interview people to live with. So I figured it was ultimately smart to live on my own, and that has been very stressful for me. Making the decision to either live with someone else, that would be good money-wise. It wouldn't be necessarily safe. It could be. I could stroke out lucky and find someone who I really vibe with and fuck with and I have no issues at all with. It would provide company at all times, another person to talk to. But I'm also I'm uncomfortable with it. So now my other option is to live on my own, which I have never done before. I lived with my parents up until I was, I want to say 18 or 19, somewhere around there, maybe 20. And then I moved into my sister's place. And we lived here for a while. I've been living here ever since October of, I think it was 2020, like mid-COVID. Now I've been living here ever since then. It's been, over 5 years now. Damn, that's a long time. Just realizing that. I've been here a while. But yeah, I eventually found someone. I liked them. I had them move in with me. We were partners for a while. And then my sister decided to move out and buy a place of her own, which essentially meant that me and my girlfriend at the time were now the sole rent payers of the property. And now she's leaving. And I don't really have anyone else to have as a roommate. And so I've been meddling in my mind over the options and the potential opportunities. Not that there are opportunities. It's a very weird situation to be in. But yeah, I've decided I'm gonna live on my own for a bit, and we'll see how it goes. I'm very anxious about it because again, I am autistic. I have high functioning autism, I should mention. I think that's apparent and clear, but I don't want to make it seem like I'm in desperate need of some other person's help to live and operate. I definitely don't need assistance, like some autistic people do, and that's fine. But that's not my condition. I've just never lived on my own before, and it's going to be really, really weird and uncomfortable, and I'm anxious and stressed thinking about it. But it's a big life change. The reason I bring up that I'm autistic is because it's change, and people who have autism, you will know that we do not like change very much. We in fact hate it. We like sticking to a schedule, And if we break out of that schedule for any reason, we get a lot more stressed out. And that is just that day is coming ever closer, and I'm like freaking out, but I will be fine. I'm trying to look for things to look forward to, so I'm not just anxious about it. Um, it's I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm not looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to small things, like, the way that the house is organized is partially because it's the way that I let my my now ex-girlfriend organize it. Um, it doesn't mean that I necessarily agreed with how it was laid out. We definitely had small arguments about how things were laid out. But I never cared enough to have it one, because I spend most of my day in this office anyway. So it's not like I need things to look my way, because she's going to be using it all more, or at least was. Pretty soon she's not, but that's besides the point. I decided to let it go, but now that she's going to be moving out, I'm going to have that level of freedom to kind of organize and keep the house how I want it to be. And I think there will be some fun in that. Pardon me. I have made a few plans as to how I might change some things in the future. Nothing's confirmed, but I don't know. I'm trying to create things to look forward to, pretty much. I think that's kind of what you just have to do in this situation. Okay. This is cool. Awesome. Okay, great. I'll just do this then. Thank you. Pardon me. Yeah, but that's about to happen. I don't know. It's very strange. I don't know what to make of it, and I'm trying to find things to look forward to about it, but it's change. I hate change, but it's necessary change. I don't want to force her to live here forever. We're of course still friends, and we'll still be hanging out. We just won't be living with each other, which I think is better for both of us now that we're not a couple anymore. Yeah, no, I mean she's still a great person. I'm lucky to have her in my life and to be friends with her. But yeah, I don't know. I talked about that maybe a little more than I should have, but I guess that's kind of the point of this channel, is to talk a little bit more about myself that I'm comfortable with. Pardon me. What else? I started the Stone collab. I don't know if y'all have heard, but I'm hosting a new collab. I assume if you're watching the channel, you've seen the last video. I posted the announcement video to this channel. It's kind of an experiment to see how that would perform. I've begun to be much more intentional about what is uploaded to what channel, especially in the last year. I've been paying a lot more attention to that. I moved all of the the stream highlights videos from the main channel to this channel, and that was kind of the start of me focusing more on this channel again for a little bit before I gave up on it again. And I've come back, kind of given a purpose again. Yeah, I'm rambling. I don't need to give you all the rundown. You've been here. But yeah, I'm hosting the Stone collab because of Stone's predicament. Man, I'm traveling a ways away. Let's keep going. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much said everything about Stone's flooding situation. But if you are interested in helping out and promoting the GoFundMe, then please do consider making an entry. I'd also like to encourage you all to, please, for the love of God, pay at least some attention to the rules and the instructions, because if you don't listen to them, you're going to fuck it up. And then I won't be able to your entry won't even get past pre-review. So it won't even show up in the live stream. So I think I'll actually start heading home now. My inventory's full. Yep, just this way. Pardon me. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that. I did have to put RPS on hold temporarily until I can finish it. People are suspecting it's going to release on Stick Figure Day. Yes, it is. I can confirm that. That was the intention ever since I came up with it. It was pretty much Stone. Me and Stone have been talking about ways that he can, make better profits so he can fix his house better and faster. And then he came back to me saying that his insurance company denied him of any support. And then I, like, within minutes later, I think, I responded like, what if I host a collab? Well, I think the first thing I said was, that's bullshit. Fuck them. But the real actual first thing I said was, what if I hosted a collab to promote it? And then he was just like, I love that idea. Please do it. So I proceeded to not think about it for the rest of the night. Like I said, I told him I was gonna. But then the next couple days, I was thinking pretty strongly about what I would do, and eventually landed on doing a promotional collab about lifting an immovable object. Oh no! Damn it! Just get me out of here. Oh my god. Okay, I gotta learn my lesson. Okay. Alright, there we go. I'm just gonna go around the snow biome. And then continue going home. Mother... Father. Yeah. Crazy how it goes from deep snow to a jungle biome. It's not how world works. That's how Minecraft works. Yeah. Yeah, I brainstormed the idea, and then I brought it to Lunsar, and he was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And then I brought it to Hyun, and he was like, yes, let's do it. And then I was like, okay, how do we do it? No, that's not how it went. We went to a Dojo Cast meeting, and then I had a whole presentation for them. And I think I started it being like, okay, I know what our next 4 weeks of episodes is going to be. And they were like, oh, okay, what is it? I think Luns already kind of knew at this point. He didn't know the extent of which I had planned, but this is like Hyun's first time here and everything. And then I was like, okay, here's everything that we're going to do. Here's the whole Collabs plans. And then we discussed some details that I was unsure about. And then I was like, okay, let's get this done by this weekend. That gives us, it was Wednesday, so it gave me the rest of Wednesday, all of Thursday, all of Friday, and then I was busy most of Saturday. So I had 3 days to prepare everything. So I reached out to a background artist that we had worked with before, Zion, and I asked if he felt comfortable making an animated background for a collab to help promote Stone's thing. And he was like, sure. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll give you the sketch. And just let us know how much it would cost to commission you. I'm not going to say how much, obviously, but after the fact, I was like, oh, by the way, I need this done in like 2 days so I can get everything ready. And he was like, oh, all right. Well, I'll see if I can get it done then. And he knocked it out of the park, dude. Love that guy. No, he really knocked it out of the park. I'm glad that we like kind of have him on the Dojo Cast team. We really just commission for art sometimes, like some of the Dojo Cast backgrounds. The game show episodes primarily, I think, is the work that he's done for us on Dojo Cast. Yeah, no, I mean, the background looks awesome. If you've seen it, I don't need to say that. It looks great. He was a little unsure about the style of the animated trees, like the leaves specifically. And he was like, I don't really know how I was going to do it. If you have any like pointers or like thoughts on how it could be done differently, let me know. And I was like, I actually really like it like that, because I had never seen, at least in this community, I had never seen anything done like that. And it was new. And I love new. I love doing new things, because if you do the same things over and over, where's the value? I've got to looping it back in. I mean, it's collab talk, so of course I'm going to. Anyway, no, but I really love how we did the leaves. It's like super not animated very much, but like it's done in a way that I think is really fun and creative, and it feels new, and that's what I love about it. So I told him, like, nah, it's perfect. Don't change it. And then, yeah, that was that. I had Hyun help out with the example entries. And then I had pretty much the responsibility of doing everything else. I had to make the spot. I had a whole to-do list, man. I had to write, film, and edit the entire promotional video because there was no time to animate it like I normally would have or made a proper trailer for it because we had 3 days to do pre-production. There's a bunch of other shit. I'm not going to talk your ear off about what all I had to do, what was me. But it was a very busy 3 days. And then Saturday was just like a lot of sitting around. I had to watch my sister's dogs that whole day. So I was just kind of bored until I got to go back home and then get things set up for the Dojo Cast. And the rules have changed a bit. The template's changed a little bit since then. So if you have been working on your entry, I would recommend downloading an updated version of the template if you haven't already, because there might be some updates that are worth looking into. Yeah, nothing massive, but I think the biggest thing is the max duration of an entry can now be 30 seconds long instead of 15 seconds long. Because when I was writing down the rules initially, I wasn't really giving it much thought. And then during the DojoCast episode, when I was doing my part, I realized, wow, this is actually not a lot of time. I'm going to give people an extra 15 more seconds because I want more. Yeah. So that was that. Yeah, RPS production is on pause because of it. It was shelved once before. It's not shelved necessarily. People on the team can still work on it now because it's set up in a way that they don't necessarily have to wait for me. People are currently assigned work, is what I'm trying to say, so they can make progress. Though I did also encourage them to make entries for the collab too, so maybe they aren't, but that's okay. That is, RPS time is time I'm willing to sacrifice in order to help Stone. Ultimately, I just want to get Stone back. He's just such a fun guy to talk to, and I miss him. And the Dojo Cast does feel very different without him. So we're still trying to learn how to run a podcast without Stone, because he carried so much of that energy. It's crazy. So yeah, there's that. I've been talking a lot more with some animators frequently outside of the community. There's a server that I was invited to a while ago that has just a bunch of, I think it started out as Flipnote animators, and then they started to invite some other larger animators online on YouTube and TikTok and such. And now it's just kind of snowballed, and it's just full of a bunch of really cool and a very diverse group of animators. And it's been really fun to hang out there and just see what everyone's up to and talk to people. And I've gotten to know some people very well through there. Yeah. Oh, well, I'd get to see Iron Lung with my father. Sorry, I had to yawn. That was my attempt at talking and yawning. I'm gonna go see Iron Lung with my dad pretty soon. It releases on the 31st in theaters. I bought my tickets way too early, so and there was only 2 theaters open in all of Colorado. And because I thought tickets were gonna sell out quickly, I went ahead and splurge bought tickets for me and my dad. Pardon me. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. But then, even a week later, the number of theaters had increased exponentially, and now they're showing the film internationally, which is insane. And honestly, really inspiring, because I want to do. Originally, I didn't want to do something similar to Gravity. I don't personally like theaters all that much. It's just a personal thing. I'm not really gonna get into it. It's just not an environment that I like. Pardon me. I'm no Netflix CEO. I think they do still have value in the entertainment space. I just don't like them myself. So, please ignore me. You don't see me. Pardon me. But I think it's really cool getting to see how passionate people are about seeing Iron Lung in theaters, and especially Mark himself, seeing how passionate he was and how emotional he got when, I think it was the theater in his hometown in Cincinnati, Ohio, when that one sold out. He got really emotional there, and I was like, you know what? I guess, in that perspective, it would be really cool if someone, got to see my movie in a big theater on the big screen like that, especially in my hometown. If someone, like, if that theater sold out just so that they can go see a stupid movie about stick figures with superpowers, like, oh, that would be so sick. And then, especially being influenced by the idea of having my animation in festivals has definitely changed my perspective on that as well. I still don't like the environment, but I get it. I understand why people go, and I don't want to rob them of that experience just because I'm stubborn and don't like theaters. Yeah, I think they're neat. I just wouldn't go to them myself. But I think I'd love to have Gravity in theaters if that's ever a possibility, and seeing that Mark is able to do this, it's made me think, hey, maybe it is possible in this hypothetical future that I get enough of an audience in order to reasonably be able to actually fund my movie. I would also arguably... Was that 2 explosions? What did y'all do? All right. It would be within the realm of possibility to have Gravity in theaters, and I think that would be cool, I think. I don't know. It'd be neat. I'm more open to it. Of course, we're a long way away from that even being an actual possibility. But if that is a possibility in the future, I'd love for that to happen. We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna watch the movie. I've been a big fan of Markiplier for many years now. I've been watching him ever since like 2014. I think it was a bit before Five Nights at Freddy's came out, before he became known as the FNAF guy. I've been watching him ever since then, since I've been a pre-FNAF Markiplier viewer. I don't know, I've been a big fan of him. He's been one of my biggest idols on this platform. He's a big part of why I do what I do. And seeing him make a movie, of course, I'm going to be a little parasocial and want to watch his film. Damn it. Damn it, you get over here, horse. Just die. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does with it. I went back to watch his playthrough of the game, and I don't. Pardon me. I know that there's more lore than there is in the first video and the initial game. I mean, hell, there was an update in the game just for lore. I think it was even called the lore update. But I don't really know how much you could expand the movie. I mean, I'm pretty sure the entire movie takes place on one set. Maybe 2, if they have, like, some kind of B story going on with, like, commanders or... I don't know. I have no idea what to expect from the movie. I don't know how much they're going to keep from the original game. I have no idea what they plan on changing. But anyway, I am here for it. I'm 100% here for it. I think it's really cool. And it's really inspiring. And hey, Mark is a great example of a YouTuber who can make good videos. He can make good movies. Look at In Space. It is mostly a comedy, yes, but like it has so much value to it. You can come out of that being a changed person. Because it does have a story. It has a message to tell. Albeit behind a very funny mask, but if you stick it out through both parts of In Space, there's a lot of value. There's a full story there. And there's actual acting. I think it's the first time that he had actually properly acted before. In a way where he got to show like emotion, which I think is really hard to do in the profession of acting. And he did pretty good at it in Space. So I have faith that what he's going to do in Iron Lung, I think it's going to be really good. I hope it's good because I have nerded out about this guy to my dad many times, and if he watches it and he's not impressed, then I'm going to feel like I failed him. Oh, man. Wait. Oh, I went the wrong way. Oh, shit. How did I do that? Did I miss my home? Was I just blinking out? How the fuck did I do that? Man, I fucked up. Okay. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Curious what my dad thinks. I'm curious what Mark's going to do. Or I guess what he has done. But hearing from the people who got to watch his movie early, I feel like it's going to be pretty good. Though then again, you can't always trust those people because they might have a biased opinion because they either worked on the film or are close friends with Mark, so they're going to think more highly of it anyway. Like I don't know. I guess I'll be slightly skeptical. There is a part of me that doubts it's going to be really good, but there's a bigger part of me that hopes it's going to be good. And that hope is really carrying me. I have faith that it's going to be really good. But you know, it is his first movie. I guess technically Space was his first movie, but it wasn't like quote unquote movie. It is very different from In Space. There's more of a strict box you have to stay in when making a movie. So I would like to make my own choose your own adventure kind of thing in the community. I had actually went to Hyun a while ago. Years and years ago, actually, to see if he would be okay with me like doing a choose your own adventure thing in the style of Mark's old choose your own adventure videos for the dojo. And I had brainstormed a few ideas, and then I brought them to him, and then he gave me some of his thoughts, and then I never did it. I think I planned a little bit, and then I never did it because, boy, is that shit complicated. Man, it is so complicated to plan a production like that. Oh my god, it's complicated. I still would like to do it now that I have better organizational skills and I know how to utilize them and how to communicate those with people. But man, that's going to be tough. I have no idea how I would do it or what the idea would even be. I just know that I would like to do something like that. So maybe you can expect to see that in the future. When? I don't know. It could be many years before I even actually do that. So don't get your hopes up. You know? Oh, I'm slaughtering so many animals. This is awesome. You can quote me on that. Yeah. I would like to end this when I get back home, but I guess I expected to already be back home by now, but I'm still 1,000 blocks away. So I guess we're just kind of stuck with each other until that happens. So, yeah. Again, sorry for the inactivity. I've been real busy with RPS, more specifically, and now the Stone collab. I have a little bit of free... No, I don't. Never mind. I am remembering that I have to finish my entry for the Stone collab before the deadline, and I have to finish another entry for another collab for one of my friends, and I haven't even started on the animatic for that. So that shouldn't take me too long, though. It should be pretty easy. I'm excited to see him release that. I don't want to tell you who it is, but it's not who you expect. It's been cool. I've been helping him behind the scenes on it, giving him pointers and tips. It's been real cool, real neat. And I'm really just trying to get leather. Give me your leather. Cool. And then after that, actually, yeah, after that, I have to, I got invited to another rap cipher. Can't say what it is. But I am excited for it, and I have to finish writing my verse for it, and then record it, and then send it to him, and hope it's okay. But yeah, I got invited to another cipher, and that has to be done by the end of the month, I think. Actually, don't remember. I'll have to look back at our messages and see what deadline he gave me. For all I know, I might have accidentally already passed it. Whoops. Am I going the right way still? Yeah, I am. But I'm also veering off course. Very slightly, but, I mean, off course is off course. I get to land and then I'll adjust my path. Yeah, I am a very busy guy lately. As for streaming even, I don't even know when the next time I'm going to be able to stream is, because, I mean, maybe I'll do some stuff for the Stone collab. I don't want to do it for the other collab for one of my friends, because I don't want to spoil what it is, because he hasn't talked about it publicly. And I don't want to do a stream about writing a cipher, because that's not my audience. And I think most people might find what I'm doing cringy. But I don't care because it's fun. Fun, goddammit. I also got asked to audition for a voice role for someone's rap battle recently, which I assume to most of you is a little pathetic. Rap battles to me are a guilty pleasure, and I can see how they can be cringy. Um, I just really enjoy them anyway. They're just really fun to watch and to be a part of, and I don't know, to listen to. Um, yeah, it was exciting. I got invited to a rap battle under a role that I'm not going to specify because I don't want to potentially spoil it, even though I'm being very non-specific. But maybe when it releases, I'll say that I auditioned for it, but we'll see. I don't think many people are going to care. But yeah, I got reached out to by someone like a significant member in the community as well, and someone who I had never talked to before. I don't know how they heard of me. I assume through some of my other friends in the community, but like I don't really talk to anyone in that community other than those two people, being Righteous and Stark. So I was a little shocked to see someone actually reach out to ask if I could audition for a voice role. And so anyway, I ended up doing it. I gave them like 3 takes, and then like a day or two later, they came back to me being like, "Oh yeah, we found someone else, but I'd love to have you on a project in the future." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, no worries." I don't know if he actually meant it. I don't know if I'll actually be in a project of his in the future. But hey, if it does happen, if he does ask, that's totally fine. If not, hey, you know, it's cool. Apparently, the key takeaway for me is that apparently this is an option now. There's some people in that space who know of my name, and I don't even know it. You know, outside of my 2 friends, again, Righteous and Stark, there's people in the community who are actually asking me to do stuff. I did do another rap. I had another role in a rap battle recently, and it was for. From what I could see, and from what I could make out from what I was invited to, it was a rap battle idea and series that someone was planning, and then they unfortunately passed away. But their friends were really good friends. They were very good friends to him because they are seeing the project through to completion. And so they asked me to play a voice role in it. The matchup didn't make any fucking sense. And once I saw that it was just some dying kid's project, I realized maybe I shouldn't ask what the correlation between these characters are. Maybe I should just do it for the sake of doing it. You know, like this is some guy's last project, and for all I know, it could be his last wish. Could be taking it to an extreme, yeah. But who am I to say no to something like that? So I did it. Yeah, I don't know. It was like a weird side quest. I also got invited to another rap battle by someone else, and I forget what role they offered me. Pardon me, stretching. I forget what role it is that they offered me. But I think that was the first one I ended up actually saying no to because it wasn't in my vocal range. I don't know why they asked me to play that role because I think it was like some more high-pitched or nerdy sounding guy, but my voice is very clearly on the deeper end, the more bassy end. So I don't know why they came to me asking to play that role, but it tells me that the people in that community apparently know about me now. I don't know. Maybe it was the ciphers that I participated in last year. I don't really know. I have no fucking clue. I mean, I'm happy with my font cipher verse. That one was really fun. The copper plate. If y'all haven't seen that one, I mentioned it in my demo reel. But Michael Stark, he invited me to his font cipher like well over a year ago now, I think. And I was like, sure, why not? And so I wrote it down in like an hour and then recorded it and then sent it off to him. And then didn't really think about it. And then it took him like a year to produce the visuals for it. Pardon me. But man, it turned out really good. If you guys haven't seen that, go look up Font Cipher by Michael Stark. It probably would just show up under Font Cipher, but I'm in there. It was also really weird getting to see people in my community and on the Alan Becker team point out like, hey, I saw that you were in this thing. What the fuck? Stealth messaged me because he found the Font Cipher. And he saw my name flash in the very beginning, and then he screenshotted it and then messaged me like, dude, you jump scared me. What are you doing here? And I was like, You aren't supposed to see this. What do you mean? It really felt weird because it's like they're separate community. Like, I have one family, my main family being in the stick figure community, and then I have another family that I sometimes visit. And it's like now they're discovering the other family, and it's very weird. Not wrong. It's just strange. It's very strange. Yeah. Anywho, I think I'm coming up on the end of it. I'm just organizing my chests here. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching these. Let me know what you think about anything that I said in the comments. I don't know. Fuck you. I don't have anything else to say. Fuck you. Get out of here. Get out of here. Go. Why are you still? Get out of here. Get out of here. Go.